What's going on, folks? Hope you're having a wonderful night or day. It's been about 2 days since the Drakantos closed beta has ended. It's been a breath of fresh air, but I noticed there were a couple of details they mentioned after the beta on their Discord that I wanted to talk about today. Specifically that based on our feedback, there's a couple of things they're taking into account. They said that for one, mouse gameplay with WASD will be a thing. We'll be able to aim, use abilities, and freely turn with the mouse and keyboard. This is something I was super hoping for because it felt like on the next test I might need to actually consider doing controller instead, but because they're already planning to do this, I think the next test is going to be a lot smoother. They're also going to be removing body blocks, so allies and summons will no longer block your movement. That's going to be pretty cool. I was starting not to mind it about halfway through, but there were some situations where like you're in a cave and going down like the railroad track and there's that very narrow passageway. You just can't get behind your teammates and like you're the range character that's standing in front of them. That was annoying, but they're also going to reduce the input lag, so the accidental delay is going to be fixed along with other performance improvements being made. Movement improvements are going to be a thing too. They're experimenting with changes to make movement feel better, but it's still too early to know if they'll solve more problems than they'll create. They're also going to work on faster early progression, so skills and systems will unlock earlier to make the start of the journey more engaging and dynamic. I think this will be a great change, specifically on the healer side. I feel like even in the lower level content, having those healers get access to their actual healing abilities could be very nice. I actually remember even that one of my friends that I was playing with, his friend was playing the cat character, and he stopped playing it pretty early on because it didn't have access to the heal until Ultimate. They're also going to be working on better build clarity, so they're going to work on improving how they present the depth and complexity of hero builds, since many players didn't notice these systems as they're more visible in the end game. I'm assuming they're talking more about like the orbs, the trophies, the artifacts, stuff like that. If you're not aware, the artifacts are items you can equip that give you access to unique abilities, and there's over 180 of them. Trophies are going to be later down the line, but those actually give you passives, and artifacts and trophies can be leveled up. It's also horizontal progression, so once you unlock them, you can use them on other characters. There's a lot of depth to the build system, and you also have skill customization with the orb system, so whenever you take on those higher level adventures, those bosses, you'll be able to actually unlock all of that to further progress your character. Drakantos so far is actually checking off a lot of boxes for me. I'm really interested to see where it goes, and I also wanted to talk about a couple other features that they listed on their Steam page that I completely missed going into it. One, that they're planning on having a marketplace where you can trade rare items, collectibles, and more with players. In an interview that Kanon did with the developer Frost, which I'm actually going to be talking about in a second, the developer mentioned that the higher tier artifacts like legendary artifacts and trophies, for example, could be traded and sold between players. They also mentioned in the Steam page that housing will be a thing. You can get your own land and decorate it your way. You're also going to be able to have access to a guild system to ascend to become the most powerful guild on the continent. There's going to be global events like mini games, and some fun events may occur during certain hours, changing the pace of the game. This is something I'm really hoping means dynamic events are going to be coming into play. That was one of my biggest things when I was talking about my first impressions, is I'm really hoping to see more in the open world that players can do during the day-to-day. And they also mentioned like high scores, day-night cycles, and crafting will be a thing, which I'll be excited about that too, because gathering in the game was mostly suited around upgrading your gear, but having an actual crafting system that we can do ourselves would be really, really cool. So another couple of details that Kanon had talked about with the developer in his video was that for one, trophies are passive. They are probably going to unlock around level 30-ish. Trophies get leveled up to about level 3. Depending on how you play is how long it'll take to grind the trophies. The basic ones are probably going to take a few days to level, but the better ones are going to be harder. Even the artifacts are like that because there's common, rare, epic, and they also mentioned legendary artifacts, which can be very valuable to trade. The endgame loop that Frost talked about, which is the main part I wanted to focus on, is that currently there's 16 major bosses. Each one of them is going to have unique drops. Kanon said this sounded like world bosses, but I'm not 100% sure if these are world bosses or bosses that are in the adventures, because I'm pretty sure we're going to have bosses, unique bosses in there too. Each of these major bosses is going to drop cosmetics, artifacts. Each one of them is going to have mounts and pets as well, and some are very rare and they're all going to be unique. Frost was saying that people might grind these bosses to get things like dragon pets and orbs and things like that and be able to sell them to each other. By the way, I definitely want a dragon pet. PvP is also going to be one of their focuses in the game. In the menu, we did see that there was an arena mode that wasn't available yet, but alongside the adventures, that's going to be something that we'll be able to do in the future. The PvP is very cool, Frost says, and the PvP is very similar to Brawl Stars. I haven't played that game, but I am familiar with it. He says it's going to be a 3x3 with different maps and objectives. There's also Hell Gates, which I'm super stoked to hear about, and these are going to be like raids with lots of people and some huge bosses. May feature PvP events also. Another cool thing while playing is that there's a lot of random things in dungeons, Frost said. For example, you can encounter a demon that introduces a challenge. It can change the entire dungeon, and it's a pretty difficult challenge as well. But that's basically it for now for the end game loop. So lots of bosses, PvP, cosmetics, and builds. The exploration in the world consists of chests and puzzles and some random events. Like he mentioned that the Blue Chest event, which I was able to be a part of, features a sort of invasion. And then he kind of talked about how all these things unlock for all heroes, like the artifacts and trophies, horizontal progression for the account basically. There is no crit in the game, it's just based around power, which increases your health and attack. So gear is very one-dimensional, where it'll only give you the power and then you get those extra stats in relation to that. But yeah, that was everything I wanted to talk about so far. It was so good to see how well the Drakantos beta did, and it was also good to hear that this is just an early opening for the game and that there's a lot more planned. I could see Drakantos easily being one of the main MMOs that I do play, so I'm really excited to see where it goes. Thank you so much for watching, folks. Have a wonderful night or day. I'll catch you next time.